Hi, hello, my name is Sydney. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be letting a random number generator choose my TBR for the month of April. Now, last month, I am really disappointed in myself. It was really crazy. There was a lot going on in my life, so I didn't really get to read as much as I wanted. I really loved my TBR last month, and unfortunately, I just did not have the time to read. I believe I counted 67 books on my physical TBR, which I feel like isn't too bad. I've definitely been able to tick off of a couple from my physical TBR, but I've also added some, which is definitely not what I wanted to do, but I'm very proud of myself because there are a lot of books I do want to buy, but I've held myself back from doing so because I really want to get this TBR down quite a bit because 67 books is a pretty big number. I know there's a lot of people out there that have way more books than that on their physical TBR, but I just need to calm down on spending money on books, and I feel like I need to read the ones that are on my TBR before I deserve to go buy some more. So there are 2 new releases coming out in the month of April that I am really excited for, and I am going to put them on my TBR kind of as if I get them and I decide I want to read them, then I will read them and they will go on my TBR, which I have a feeling that one of these books is probably going to be very high up on my list for the month of April, and that is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and that actually comes out on April 1st. So you bet I'm going to be in line at the bookstore to get myself a copy because I absolutely love Abby Jimenez. I'm really excited for this book to come out, so I think I will probably end up reading that this month anyways. So technically that would be the first book on my TBR, but I don't really want to count it because it's technically not on my physical TBR. And then the second book coming out this month that I am really excited for is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. That actually comes out on April 22nd, so more towards the end of the month, which is kind of probably gonna mean that if I do end up getting that book and putting it on my physical TBR, I probably won't get to it until May, just because I feel like at that point of time, I'm kind of just trying to finish my TBR and kind of speed through the books that are left over. But I have my iPad right here and I am going to go onto a random number generator. I have put through numbers 1 through 67, and we are just going to start off with our first book from the TBR for this month, which is, let's go ahead and press generate, number 19. Okay. So these are the 3 books that I haven't gotten to yet, and they were on my March TBR. So I'm going to count them as the first 3, and we'll go from there. But like I said, number 19, there's a row down here, and there's also a row on the back. Okay, so number 19 was Belladonna, and actually, I'm really excited for this. I've been wanting to read this for a while. I believe there's 3 books out in this series currently, and I've heard a lot about it, and I'm pretty sure it's fantasy. So like I said, I've heard a lot about this series and I've wanted to start it. I don't know what's kind of made me not start it, but I'm really excited to read it. It says death waits for no one except her. So that sounds really intriguing. I also really like this cover. This is the first book on our TBR for the month of April. Okay, so I actually just realized that I only have 47 books on my TBR, not 67. So I don't know where I got 67 from. So I'm actually kind of proud of myself. I feel like my TBR is getting smaller and smaller, and that is really exciting for me, but I'm gonna leave this one up here. Belladonna is still gonna be our first one, but I'm going to fix the number generator and make it be 1 through 47, and let's just see what our next number is. Number 3. Okay, so like I said, these 3 books, dang. Okay, these 3 books were on my March TBR, but I don't think I'm gonna end up getting to them. So this would be the 3rd book, and that is 5 Brothers. This book is so heavy. This is also the probably smut edition that I have, and this is by Penelope Douglas. I honestly like don't really know anything about this book, and obviously I pulled it for last month's TBR and I didn't read it. I didn't do any more research or looking into about this book, and she is extremely thick. Like oh, okay. So we're like 537 pages thick, and with me being in a little bit of a reading slump right now, that is extremely, extremely intimidating. So I don't know if we're going to end up getting to this, but I feel like since this book is going to be on my TBR for 2 months in a row, the like universe is trying to tell me that I probably should read it. So maybe we will end up tackling this book this month, but I don't know. On the back, it says they're wild, we hide everything, they're poor, we're not, they're swamp, we're saints. So again, I feel like that doesn't really give any context to what is inside of the book, but this is going to be book number 2 on our TBR for the month of April. Let's go ahead and regenerate. 41. So number 41 on my TBR is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This has been on my TBR for a while. Not gonna lie, I kind of did pick this book up because I really enjoyed the cover, but I'm pretty sure this is a cozy fantasy. I don't know too much about this book. I've seen a couple of people talk about it. I know that a lot of people do like it, but I don't know if cozy fantasy is my thing. I feel like if I'm gonna read fantasy, I want to like read fantasy and be immersed in the world, but I don't know if I've even ever read a cozy fantasy, if I'm being completely honest, but you know, there's a first for everything. And I know a lot of people do really like this book, and it's fairly short. It's around like a little over 300 pages, which isn't too bad, but I am actually kind of excited for this, and maybe I'll end up listening to it as an audiobook if I get the chance. So hopefully I will enjoy this so I can start a new series, but this is going to be the 3rd book on our TBR. All right, let's go for our 4th, and that is number 21. I just picked The Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, and I have been wanting to read this for a while. I also have Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco, but I heard that you should pick up this series first. I honestly can't remember why, but I saw it somewhere, and I don't know. Now I feel like I need to read this series before jumping into Throne of the Fallen. So here we are. We have Kingdom of the Wicked, and again, another fantasy book. And to be completely honest, I don't know too much about this book or this series in general, but I know that a lot of people like Throne of the Fallen. And I saw one booktuber that I watch really enjoy this series. So I'm hoping that this will be another series that I like. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It's like purple sprayed edges. I don't know what happened there. Probably my fault, but it's really pretty. So yeah, this is going to be our 4th book on the TBR. And so far, 3 of them are fantasy, which is a little bit scary to me because I am a type of person that likes to have a little bit of like a palette cleanser. So hopefully we'll be able to pull a more palette cleanser, easy, fast read, because so far this is a little bit intimidating. Okay, we are going for our 5th and 24. Okay. Oh my gosh, guys. This is another book that is also extremely intimidating to me. What is going on with this month's TBR? I have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Again, this cover I like absolutely love, and I've never read anything by Leigh Bardugo. This is definitely not going to be a palette cleanser. This is 450 pages, which that I feel like when it gets over 400, she's getting into like the little bit of a thicker book. But it says, the mesmerizing adult debut from Leigh Bardugo, a tale of power, privilege, dark magic, and murder among the Ivy League elite. So I'm pretty sure this is more like dark academia vibes, which I honestly like haven't read anything that's dark academia or anything that I can really think of off the top of my head. Oh, Stephen King has a quote. It says, the best fantasy novel I've read in years. Wait, who's gonna tell me this was fantasy? Because hello? Okay, apparently I really didn't know anything about this because I didn't know this was fantasy. We have another fantasy book on our TBR for the month of April, and I am I'm excited to read this. I feel like at first when I first pulled it, I was a little bit scared, but I will say I am getting more and more excited just like thinking about it. And now that I know it's a fantasy, I don't know why, but it just made me a little bit more excited. We are going to do our last number generator because 6 books is, I feel like, a pretty good amount. And then if I end up reading the new Abby Jimenez book that comes out this month, that will be like a pretty good number. But fingers crossed, please, that we get a smaller, like even like a romance would be really nice because I haven't picked a romance book. So let's see, number generator, I'm going to press it and not look. 30, okay. Actually, not too mad about this. I absolutely hate the cover of this book, but We Pulled the Deal by Elle Kennedy. This has been on my TBR for an extremely, like, embarrassingly long time. Probably, like, since I started to get back into reading. So, like, 2, maybe 3 years this has been on my TBR. And again, I absolutely hate this cover. The new covers that have come out are so cute, but I don't really want to buy the new cover unless I end up really liking this book. But this is definitely not a palette cleanser. This is, okay, 389 pages, not too bad, but also definitely not like a small, cute little romance that is a palette cleanser, at least in my eyes. I do know a little bit about this book. This is a part of the series, and it's the Off-Campus series. And I know a lot of people used to really like this series, and it was a very popular on OG Book Talk, but it is hockey romance, I believe. And I don't know, I feel like it's gonna be really spicy. I can see like she's about to make a deal with a college bad boy, and it's going to be oh so good. So I feel like that just kind of like, you know, trigger something in my brain that, okay, this is probably going to be spicy. This is definitely not a book I was expecting to read anytime soon. So maybe if I do end up reading this, I will be surprised if I do like it. I haven't read too many sports romances. I've read like a couple, but I feel like I haven't really read enough to know if sports romance is for me or not. But this is going to be a interesting, fun read. I don't know how I feel about this. Hopefully it's on Kindle Unlimited because I don't want to carry around this ugly book cover. But this is the last book on our TBR. To do a little recap, we have Belladonna, Five Brothers, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, Kingdom of the Wicked, Ninth House, and The Deal. So those are the books that are currently on my TBR for the month of April. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I will probably end up picking the new book up from Abby Jimenez and adding that to my TBR. And who knows if I end up picking up the new Emily Henry book that comes out later on in the month of April. Not gonna lie, these books are kind of very intimidating, very scary, and none of these were really on my radar except for Belladonna. So all of these are kind of like books that I haven't really thought about or would have really wanted to pick, but I don't know, maybe I should challenge myself to try to get to all of these books. Definitely let me know in the comments if you guys have read any of these books and if you liked them, because if you did like them and you let me know in the comments, then I will be more excited to read them, and that will probably like put them more on the top of my list for next month. And fingers crossed we can get through the TBR or maybe just read more books in general. Honestly, for the month of April, I'm not too pressed on getting to all of my books on my TBR. I just want to get back in the hang of reading. I feel like I said, reading has just kind of been on like the back burner the past month, and I need to get back into it. I want to read more books. I need to slim down this TBR. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to stay tuned for later videos from me, and happy reading.